This short lesson is going to show you how to annotate a poem using Google Docs. So the poem we're using is Coup de Grace by A.D. Hope, and I've already completed a number of the annotations here. So the poem is divided into stanzas. There's 4 stanzas, and we've numbered the lines. So the first line is number 1, the final line, there's 24, and then you don't number every line, you break it up evenly. So this one has every 6 lines is numbered. You also then want to do the rhyme scheme. So this poem has a A, B, C, A, B, C, D, E, F, D, F, and so on rhyme scheme. So there is a definite pattern to this poem. If your poem is a very long poem, you only really need to do the rhyme scheme for about the first 1 to 2 stanzas, and if you notice that pattern repeating, you can indicate at the end, this pattern repeats throughout the poem. But in this case, the ABC, this means that the words that have the letter A would have the similar sound, like wolf and gulf. Letter B, grin and in. Letter C, wood and hood. He then switches to a new sound, a new sounding word, and then therefore the next letter in the alphabet. So we go from A to Z. Fangs, bangs, least, beast, beguile, and smile. Now, one of the things to bring your attention to is another poetic device that is used here. So this third stanza starts with a new sounding word, queen, and between, rose, and nose, but tooth and mouth are not direct rhymes, they're not strong rhymes, they're what we call near rhymes. So here I have tooth and mouth are understood to follow the rhyming pattern, even though these words do not have a definite strong rhyme. Okay, so this is one of the things you want to pay attention to when you're identifying your poetic devices. And then at the bottom you would indicate the rhyme scheme. Again, if it's a very long poem, you usually 1 to 2, at the most 3 stanzas, and then the rest you would say follows a repeating rhyme pattern if it's a long poem. And then you're going to get into the title. Forgot to mention the title, Coup de Grace. I'm going to put, so I use that plus. So coup de grace means death blow, and I happen to have the definition here: a final blow or shot given to kill a wounded person or animal. It really means to put the animal out of its misery. So now that I've got my annotations done, I've managed to find about 6 of them. So I've got a title here, I've got assonance, I've got alliteration, simile, another simile, I've got near rhyme, I've got imagery, hyperbole, and repetition. So you're looking for at least 5 different poetic devices. You're not going to just say simile all the time or assonance all the time. You're going to find 5 different ones, because the poet does take the time to write their poem in a purposeful way, and they're choosing, just like this poet chose this particular rhyming pattern, they're choosing words to fit the mood and the meaning so that the reader can understand the message of the poem. And then you get down to writing the paragraph about the poem. It's between 200 and 300 words. It includes a title that tells the purpose of the writing. So this poem is a persuasive analysis of the poem, Coup de Grace by A.D. Hope. Avoid using I, use formal language. The topic sentence states the title of the poem, the name of the poet, and the main idea. So for example, the poem, Coup de Grace by A.D. Hope, is an unusual twist on the well-known fairy tale Red Riding Hood. It begins with the traditional presentation of the wolf. He sees Red Riding Hood, and I've changed Red Riding Hood for shortening purposes to RRH. So now whenever you see RRH, you know that it's Red Riding Hood, and you have to spell it out first completely, and then you can go to the short form. And opens his jaws to eat her up. In the more well-known version of this story, RRH is terrified and must be rescued by a hunter. In a twist ending, the final 3 lines of the poem show that RRH is not afraid. In fact, she thanks him. And here we have a direct line from the poem in quotations with the line number at the end. Just the number in brackets. A handsome beast, and smiles at him. Okay, so you want to also discuss at least 3 of the identified poetic devices within the body of the poem. So you're going to look at different the poetic devices that you have identified. So you can see Red Riding Hood is described in her traditional sense using the images. So here I'm talking about imagery. Her lips are described as velvet red of the road, framing each little white tooth. I'm discussing hyperbole. I've already talked about that in my annotations. Used to describe how this angelic little girl opens her minikin mouth and swallows up the wolf in a trice. And the poet also uses simile, imagery, alliteration to show the sweet, innocent looks of RRH. And then finally conclude with a final thought that sums up the main idea. So the wolf, hence the significance of the title Coup de Grace, a death blow intended to end the suffering of a mortally wounded creature. And so there it is. So I'm going to take the bold off because you don't want to put the bold. Now normally I would be fine. You can submit it double spaced or you can submit it single space, but your number of words are approximately 300 or between 200 and 300 words are needed to give you a good analysis. So now we're ready to save and submit our annotations. So I'm going to show you 2 different ways. The first way is if you have Microsoft Word. Not all of us do, but in case you do have Microsoft Word, you download as a Microsoft Word document. So File, Download, and Microsoft Word. And here's a lot of different ways to download, and you can see you can use any of these, but we're using Microsoft Word. And Microsoft Word does have a review feature. So this feature allows you to have your annotations and show where they are there in the poem, and also any other text you put in. And you're using this review and markup. So for markup purposes, you choose all markup. If you click no markup, you won't see any annotation. So you choose all markup. And then when you're showing markup, you want to go down, make sure all 3 of these are checked, and then show revisions in balloons. Okay, so if you pick a different one, you won't get the annotations you want. So you want to go to balloons, show revisions in balloons, and then you can file, save it, and you'll have your annotations to submit. So in case you don't have Microsoft Word and you're annotating, you want to save your annotations to submit, you would then use a different download. You can go to File, Web Page, and it's going to give you a zip file. So I click on the arrow when it's the arrow show in folder, and I'm going to open it up, and then I'm going to double click on this. So I want to have it look like this, and what it does is these little hyperlinks takes you to the annotations, and they put them in a box here and organized for you, so I can see that I have from A to I in annotations, and here's my paragraph. So everything goes in at the bottom. So I've got my poem, I've got my annotations, and so this one here I can do anything I want to. In fact, I will save this. I'm not going to save it. I'm going to use my print. It depends on what your features are on your computer. So I've got here, and I've got it as a document here, and I'm going to print it to my PDF. I'll save it on my desktop. Find it, poem annotation, and here it is, and it gives me, and it keeps my my numbers here, and it does take off the hyperlink, but it does keep the color, so you can see that A goes with A, and so on and so forth. And there's your document, and this is a file, a PDF file you can submit your assignment. So that's all I need to show you. So hope this helps, and email me if you have any questions. Bye.